Welcome. Yes, welcome to Snow Country Stories Japan. My name is Peter Carnell, and this is a podcast all about life and travel in Japan's legendary Yukiguni. In today's episode, we head to Ose National Park. Spread across 4 prefectures of the Snow Country, Ose is one of the less well-known of Japan's 34 national parks. But with the government now starting to promote the national park system to international visitors, expect Ose's profile to rise in the coming years, especially given the ease of access from Tokyo. National parks are a big part of the story when it comes to the Snow Country, and in exploration of Ose, I speak with Iida Taka, an outdoor guide based in Nagano, but who trained and gained certification as a guide in Ose. As such, Taka knows the national park very well and is an ideal person to walk us through it today, while also guiding both Japanese and international visitors on customized hikes in the park. Based in Nozawa Onsen in Nagano, one of the most popular ski resorts in Japan and a famous hot spring town, Taka also guides there, offering tours that reveal the history and culture of the village, that has a history stretching back at least 1300 years as a hot spring village, along with exploring the surrounding landscape. We discuss the national park in the first half of the interview before moving on to the tours that Taka offers at Ose and in Nozawa Onsen in the second half of our chat. Ose National Park is relatively small in comparison to many other parks. However, its smaller size is in fact one of its attractions. Known for its lakes, wetlands, moors and marshes, the park is ringed by mountains ascending over 2,000 meters with some areas of dense forest, meaning visitors to Ose can enjoy varied environments, including unique flora and fauna, within a confined area, and as such, it's a great option for international visitors or anyone who only has a short time to allocate to exploring a national park. For more information about Ose, visit the official website of the national park, and to get in touch with Taka, head to the Nozawa Onsen Tours website or Instagram and Facebook, and of course you can find information, images and a map showing you where the national park is in the Snow Country on the episode page of the Snow Country Stories Japan website. Also listen on after my chat for Taka for more information on how to get to Ose should you decide to head there for yourself. I hope you enjoy. My guest on the podcast today is Iida Taka, an outdoor guide based in Nozawa Onsen in Nagano. So Taka, thank you for speaking with me today, and how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, my pleasure. Today we're going to be speaking a lot about Ose National Park, which is spread across 4 prefectures of the Snow Country, Fukushima, Tochigi, Gunma and Niigata. But you're actually based in Nagano with your company Nozawa Onsen Tours. So Taka, can I begin by asking, where are you originally from and how did you end up working as a guide?
Actually, I'm from Izu Peninsula in Shizuoka, which is kind of near Mount Fuji. So I was surrounded by the ocean when I grew up. But about 20s, I kind of started to interested snowboarding lots more. So I decided to go to Australia and New Zealand for snowboarding and working holiday. So that's how I learned English. And then how I kind of started more into outdoor sports and outdoor kind of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So I was quite lucky to become a trekking guide in New Zealand when I was staying there. So I took the opportunity to start beginning my career in New Zealand on Milford Track and Ruben Track.
Oh, fantastic. How long were you in New Zealand? How many years?
It was kind of on and off. The first about 8 years, I was just there for their winter, which is our Japanese summer. So I was doing winter to winter for about 8 years. Then I kind of decided to stay there for summer because I made so many friends, and then all my Kiwi friends always asking me, Taka, you should stay here for the summer. Summer's awesome, much more better than winter. But I didn't tell them, but I didn't want to miss my Japanese winter. So that's why it kind of took me about 8 years just doing the winter to winter. But finally, I kind of decided, okay, I might try stay there for summer. And then luckily, I got the job as a trekking guide on the Milford track and Reuben track. So that was awesome. So I took it, and then I stayed there, and then it was pretty awesome.
And then my understanding is when you returned to Japan, you undertook some further training as a guide at Ose National Park. So is that correct? And when did you first visit Ose?
That's correct. So I decided to come back to Japan, but I keep chasing my career as an outdoor guide. And then so when I came back to Japan, I was living in Gunma, which is near Ose National Park.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that's why I started my career as a Ose National Park trekking guide.
How long have you now been guiding in Ose?
So I came back to Japan in 2010, 2011. I think I got my certificate for Ose National Park was 2012. So which is about 12 years ago. So I've been guiding Ose about 12 years.
So quite some time. As I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, Ose, I think a lot of listeners won't heard of it. This might be the first time they're coming across the name Ose National Park, but it's located across 4 prefectures. As you just mentioned, Gunma is one of them. Fukushima, Tokiji. I always stumble on that prefecture name. Tochigi. Thank you. And Niigata. The park measures 373 square kilometers, which is, I believe, 92,000 acres, around that size. And it's the 19th largest of Japan's 34 national parks. So you mentioned you've been guiding there now for 12 years, but Taka, can you kind of cast your memory back? Do you remember your first impressions of Ose National Park?
Yeah, actually, so I didn't know about the Ose until I started living in Gunma. And then so I was in Minakami, and it was only less than an hour away from the trailhead of Ose National Park. So when I was working for the outdoor company in Minakami, so I just asked some of my co-workers to shall we try go to Ose, because I just wanted to see what it looked like. So that's my first visit in Ose, because there's supposed to be that autumn colors really, really beautiful.
It's quite famous for Japanese, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's why I chose to go to Ose in autumn time. And then one of my colleagues was like, okay, I'm going to go with you. So
yeah, fantastic. And you dropped another place name just in there, Minakami, which again, many people might not have heard of, but Minakami is quite famous for Japanese, famous hot spring area.
Famous for hot springs, and then now I think quite famous for rafting and canyoning, kind of like outdoor hub for Japanese people living in cities like Tokyo, because it's only less than 2 hours away. I think it's only an hour away.
Because that was my understanding, actually. I've never done it myself, but I hear there's very good whitewater rafting in that area. It's kind of the best in Japan. And from what you just said there, our listeners might have picked up on the fact that it's quite accessible from Tokyo, also quite easy to get to. Is that right?
I think it's about 45 minutes Shinkansen ride from Tokyo.
Yeah, fantastic. Easy. So Ose was originally part of Nikko National Park, but separated and designated as a national park in 2007. And it's famous for its inclusion of lakes, marshes, moors, and grasslands, which is ringed by mountains. From what I understand, I'm yet to go there. So, Taka, would you mind explaining the landscape of Ose? If someone is to visit, what can they expect in terms of the landscape?
We usually say that the Ose is kind of like a senmenki. Senmenki is like a tray or like a bowl we use in the bathrooms.
Are you talking about, like, for example, a bathroom or the onsen, the wooden container you use to fill water and splash over yourself? Yeah, It's shaped like a wooden bowl.
Yeah, so that's the one. So we call it the Ose landscape is kind of like those washing bowls, because so the Ose marshland is the biggest marshland in main island of Japan. So it is quite large. It's about 6Ks and 2Ks square. So which is quite large. So that's the bottom of the senmenki. the washing balls. And then all that about 2,000 meter or more, a little bit more, the mountains surrounded.
The mountains that do surround the wetlands and the lakes and the moors, you said there's several over 2,000 meters. Which are the major mountains of Oze?
So there's two of the mountain from famous 100 mountains. So one is called Mount Shibutsu, and another one is Mount Hyuchi. So that two is quite famous, and most of the Japanese people wants to hike those mountains.
And in terms of the hiking through the park and up the mountains, Taka, can I ask, when is the hiking season? And what are the trails like? How difficult are they?
So the main hiking season is just about to starting right now. The most of Japanese people, if you know, they quite like to see specific flowers. So which is mizubasho, the skunk cabbage. So lots of Japanese people wanted to see the skunk cabbage. Some people says that's one of the lifetime experience you want to do it before they die. Kind of like that. And then so the skunk cabbage is just about blooming right now. So that's why this is just like a best, more like a busiest time to visit Oze.
Yeah, so hiking season is from now. And when does it go until?
Usually second week of October.
And the trails through the park and up the mountains, how difficult are they? Who are they best suited to?
So you can choose. As you mentioned, it's about the spread in 4 different prefectures. That means there's lots of trailhead, and then you can start from anywhere you like. And so as I mentioned, it's like a senmenki, the washing ball style landscape. So you usually start from the path, like top of the mountain, and then hiking down to see those marshland or the lakes and something like that. So it's kind of like opposite to usual mountain hikes. You start from going down.
And then you hike yourself back up.
Yeah. So that's kind of tricky bits.
Interesting. That's quite unique, I think.
Yeah. I think so.
Do you know why is it shaped like that? Do you know what explains it's like a bowl shape, the national park? Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I think that's landscape made that massive marshland. So the bottom of the senmenki, the marshland, so that's really, really wet. So always water stays there. So that's why it's made massive marshland.
Makes sense. Is it a volcanic landscape? Are there active volcanoes within the park?
It's kind of describing 4 different aspects. So west is the Mount Shibutsu. And then east, it's a Mount Hyuchi. And then 2 lower mountains, north and south. So that's surrounded by the kind of like 4 mountain ranges. But no. So 2 mountain ranges and then 2 big mountains on each side. Kind of like. So Mount Shibutsu is not the volcano, but all other 3 aspects is the volcanic mountains.
Right. Which, and I imagine anytime I go to national parks or landscapes of Japan that have active volcanoes, usually it's a very fertile, very lush environment, lots of vegetation. So for visitors who are coming to Oze, what can they expect in terms of the actual vegetation and animals that are found within the park?
If you've been to other volcanoes in Japan, so you might expect to see the mountains really rugged or rocky, or like around the mountaintop, you don't see any vegetations. But you started from the kind of like a mountaintop and then going down to the marshland, so which is kind of like opposite. So around the marshland, you can see lots and lots of different and a little bit kind of unique vegetations. Plants you might only see the marshland. And so then actually the Mount Shibutsu is quite unique as well. The mountains made of the rock called serpentine. So that's make the plants kind of hard to live. But still some plants wants to live there. It's like more like weaker plants. They don't survive to the normal vegetations. So they kind of escaped from the normal vegetation. They're coming up to the Mount Shibutsu, so that's only they can live around the Mount Shibutsu.
Oh, wow.
So the Mount Shibutsu plants is quite unique. And
may I also ask, in terms of animals in the park, what kind of wildlife does Ozai have?
they have lots of different animals, like Japanese black bear and lots of deers. It's like a protected area. If you stay overnight in Oze, I recommend you to go for at least a short hike in Oze in nighttime, and then you can see lots of eyes.
Ah, fantastic.
That's kind of fun. It's fun for me.
Actually, I read that Ozai has Japan's smallest dragonfly. That might be exciting for
yeah, true. True. Hachotombo.
How small is it? When they say small, how small?
It's about 10 dama size. Do you know 10 dama? The 10 yen coin?
10 yen coin.
10 yen coin.
Oh, yeah, so very small, actually. So
yeah, so that Hachotombo fits in 10 yen coin.
So any Dragonfly fans out there, get get along to Ozai. Now, obviously, we're discussing hiking season now, but you said it goes through to around October and then winter comes in. Obviously, Ozai is located within the snow country. So what are the winters of Ozai like?
Winter, the Ozai National Park is kind of like closed trails. And then probably the road goes to the trailhead. Most of them are closed. Some trailhead, you take the boat to go there, so that would be closed as well. So only I've been there in the winter time. You have to walk from the town below because the road is closed. So usually, for example, the Gunma side has a couple of different trailhead. Then one famous one's called Hatomachi Toge. So I've been to hiking from the bottom of the Hatomachi Toge. To get to Hatomachi Toge took us about 1 day to get to.
Wow.
And then trying to hike up to Mount Shibutsu and back.
That time of year, what's the snowfall like? How much snow does the area receive?
Usually 5 to 8 meters. So there's a number of mountain huts all around the Ozai National Park. So those huts people, they have to go to shovel the snow off their roof. Otherwise, the mountain hut's going to collapse.
Right.
So they're going to go at least a couple of times over the winter.
Are there any ski resorts within the national park?
Not sure if it's in the national park, but there's one right by the Ozai National Park that's called Ozai Tokura.
Ozai Tokura?
Actually, the one of the trailhead they start from that ski resort.
If a listener is interested in experiencing Ozai with you, obviously one of the reasons I'm speaking with you today, you're a very experienced guide there and you offer guided tours of Ozai. How does it work? So, for example, which trails do you typically take your guests on, and how many days do you take them there for?
So usually, most of the Japanese tour company do only a day tour, but I don't think that's enough, or like it's mottainai, like missing lots of opportunities. I usually recommend most of my customers at least to stay overnight, or maybe 2 nights, 3 days. 2 nights, 3 days, you can see most of the Gunma side Ozai, and probably a little bit of Fukushima side as well. Or you can start from Fukushima side and then go over the border and then come back to Gunma side. You can choose the lots of different routes. You can go over Mount Hiuchi. So Mount Hiuchi is in Fukushima Prefecture. So you can start from Fukushima side. And then either you can hike up to Mount Hiuchi, coming down to Miharashi, which is already in Gunma. No, that's Fukushima. Sorry. So coming down to Miharashi, then stay overnight, and then hike across all the marshland, the Ozegahara massive marshland, and then probably stay another night at the bottom of Shibutsu. And then next day, hike up to Mount Shibutsu and then go down to Gunma side. That's probably, if you like mountains, that's probably the best route. But if you don't like the mountains, you can start from Fukushima side and then don't have to go up to Mount Hiuchi, where you can see 2 different waterfalls. And then goes to Miharashi, stay there, and then go across the marshland, and then you don't have to hike up to Mount Shibutsu. You can go straight up to the trailhead. Or you can go to Ayame Daira. Ayame Daira used to call the Tenku no Rakuen, which is like the paradise over the moon, kind of like. So
It's
that's
appealing name.
that place I really recommend. You can start from Gunma and then goes to Ayame Daira, go down to Miharashi, stay there, and then come back to Gunma.
So it sounds like there's a lot of choice. And so if somebody was to get in contact with you, I'm sure that you would give your recommendations, but if they also wanted to request something of you, you could have that conversation with them and set the itinerary based on what they want. Is that correct?
Yes, so that's correct. So I can ask you guys what would you like, and then we can choose the route.
What level of fitness do guests need to come on a tour with you?
You can choose lots of different trails, so that means quite weak people can come. But most
Weak
of the
people.
How can I say? すみません. The not so fit people.
Got it. ごめんね。どうぞごめん。
大丈夫. So, but as I mentioned before, most of the Japanese tour company just took so many elderly people to come to Oze just to see some skunk cabbage. So some of them struggled. If you never walked before, you can struggle with only a day hike. Just because you have to hike down to get to see the marshland and then the plants and stuff, the sceneries, and then you're gonna have to hike back up. On the map, it says 1 hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour to coming back from the bottom. But lots of those people like never walked before. I've been walking half an hour every day, kinda. Then most of them struggled, and then usually I took about 1.5 to 2 hours to come back.
So yeah, the tours can be modified to any reasonable level of fitness. It sounds like obviously the fitter the better, though, in terms of access to places you might like to take them. And if somebody is coming, obviously most of my listeners actually quite a few of my listeners are in Japan, but many are also outside. So if someone's coming from overseas and they want to join you on a tour of Oze Taka, what gear do they need to bring with them? How much equipment? How much gear?
So sometimes Oze is like a easy hiking place, but it's actually surrounded by the 2,000-meter high mountains. That means you need the gears or equipment to go hiking around the 2,000-meter mountains. So that's like about 30-liter to 40-liter backpack, rain jackets and pants. And warm clothes.
It's a pretty standard stuff. Yeah, nothing specialist in any regards. And you mentioned, obviously, on multi-day hikes, where do you stay? Are you camping? Are you staying in mountain huts?
That all depends. But the mountain huts, there's so many mountain huts, so you can choose the route and then you can choose the hut as well. And then the good thing about the Ozen National Park, the hut, is you can have a bath. Like you can wash down your sweaty body at the most of the mountain huts.
We're talking bath or onsen?
Some has onsen.
Yes, nice.
And then most of them has a bath.
Okay.
And then so there's plenty of water and then plenty of beautiful spring water as well. So you don't have to buy the water or you don't have to carry too much water each day.
You can fill up as you move.
Yeah.
Terrific.
So that's another good thing as well.
Yeah, terrific. And what would you recommend? When's the best time to visit? Which month?
Actually, lots of Japanese people coming to Oze right now for the skunk cabbage, but actually there's nothing other than skunk cabbage.
Can I say something, Taka? I think skunk cabbage in Japanese is mizobasho, right?
そうです。
Let's call it Mizubasho because skunk cabbage is a terrible name in English.
I know. ね
Mizubasho,
ひどいな。
it's quite beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Mizubasho is a
そう
much
です。
nicer name.
Right. So lots of people wants to come to see Mizubasho to Oz National Park, but actually there's nothing, almost nothing else other than Mizubasho at the moment. So if you want to see something more, around July would be really nice to see lots of different other plants and flowers. And if you want to see more flowers, like special flowers around Mount Shibutsu, the Mount Shibutsu is closed at the moment to protect the plants. So they're gonna open around the beginning of the July. So that's a good time to go there too. And around the autumn time is really nice too. I like to show Kusa momiji. So kusa is like a grass.
Oh, yeah.
So momiji is like a maple. But that's describing the ground. That's like Oze's marsh is change the colors. So that time is really, really beautiful too. Usually around the end of September.
Final question I wanted to ask you in relation to Oze is obviously Oze isn't as famous as some of the other national parks in Japan. I recently did an episode about Daisetsu-san, which is the largest national park in Japan, in Hokkaido, one of its most famous. So certainly Oze doesn't have the profile for international visitors of Daisetsu-san or maybe Chubu Sungaku, which is very nearby where I am here in Nagano, or in Nagano. But can you say, Taka, why do you think Oze, compared to those other fantastic national parks, why is Oze worth visiting?
Because you can see the marsh and lakes and those mountains, the all different landscapes at once, and it's quite close from the Tokyo, which is easy to get to.
And maybe, I guess, not as busy as some other national parks?
Depends. Depends when you go, but obviously less busy than Chubu Sangaku National Park, or like more less busy than Kamikochi.
Yeah, sure. Or Fuji, for example, much less busy.
True. Right, so lots of people wants to go to Fuji, lots of people wants to go to Kamikochi. Yeah, I got lots of inquiry about Kamikochi, Fuji. But
both of which are fantastic. They're just too busy. I mean, I love Kamikochi. I guide there as well.
Yeah, Kamikochi really, really beautiful. Yeah,
spectacular.
I agree.
But yes, it's every season I've taken people there. You're like, wow, it's just busier and busier and busier. So one of the reasons I want to get the profile of places like Oze out there is that Japan has many wonderful national parks, and Oze is one of them, and terrific guides like yourself available to take people there. You also, as mentioned, Taka, you're actually based here in Nagano in Nozawa Onsen, and you operate the company Nozawa Onsen Tours. So Nozawa Onsen, that name is quite familiar to a lot of international visitors, is one of Japan's most popular ski resorts and has a very long history as a hot spring town. So it's very much an all-year-round destination. So can you tell me about your company, Nozawa Onsen Tours, and the tours that you operate there?
So when I come back from New Zealand, I based in Minakami, Gunma for first couple years. Since then, I've been to Nozawa for the winter and then go back to Minakami for summertime for first couple years. And then I found that Nozawa is really, really beautiful. There are lots of snow, lots of onsen, lots of cultures. So that's why I decided to move to Nozawa and I started my own company there. When I started my company, I just started my village walking tours. So lots of English, like lots of tourists coming to Nozawa, they just come here for ski or snowboard. So they just ski, drink, and they almost never know anything about Nozawa.
Yep.
And then just go home and then telling everyone Nozawa is fantastic for skiing. So and other people coming back to Nozawa, they just ski and drink. So that's why I started my walking tour. I would like to introduce more like history and culture and onsen, so they would be back
Yeah,
again for another season.
Because I totally agree with you. I mean, Nozawa's popularity is growing and growing, and especially amongst Australians, a lot of Australians come there, which is a good thing because it is a fantastic ski resort. But I think a lot of people come in and they don't realize that it has such a long history, around at least 1,300 years that we know of. People have been going there to use the hot springs. So when I noticed that with your company that you offer those walking tours to explain the history and get much more deeper understanding of what Nozawa is all about, which I think is a fantastic thing. And you also offer snowshoeing tours.
So first I started to do some village walking tour, and then after 2 years I started to run snowshoe tours. So you can walk on the snow, which is you can see lots more different things. So basically, lots of people skis, they almost never try snowshoeing. But last few years, lots of people started to interested in snowshoeing as well. So they have time off from skiing, join the snowshoeing, and so they enjoy the serenity or sceneries. Usually they don't really enjoy when you're skiing. They go too fast.
Yeah.
And then so I can mention them about the plants and those wildlife and stuff while we are walking in the snow. And then sometimes I talk about the history and culture as well. So they
terrific.
the people really enjoying it.
And you're snowshoeing around the ski resort, or you're walking across to villages like Kosuke, nearby areas?
I used to take people to the resort, but the resort not like having snowshoe people, just because when we walk outside of the ski resort, some people see us walking, and then some skiers, snowboarders think, oh, we can go ski over there, and then just come up, and then sometimes go missing. So that's start getting the messy problems.
Yeah, you don't want to be blamed for that.
So they kind of blaming on us. So so I got lots of different places around the Nozawa to take the snowshoe people. So some places really, really nice and flat. So walking around the lake, and so the scenery is beautiful and quite easy to walk for different age groups. So usually I take that lake for the first time people. And then if some people keep coming back, I got lots of different fields, including Madarao and the Nabekura area. So Nabekura is on the opposite side of Nozawa.
So. Yeah, terrific. Oh, fantastic. And obviously living where you do and talking about Nozawa Onsen, final question I have for you is, are you a skier or snowboarder?
I do both.
But if you had to choose one, Taka, for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
Snowboard.
Yes, good answer.
Maybe I have to say telemark because.
Interesting.
I started my telemark skiing a few years ago, and I have a really crazy friend. So she does ski, snowboard, and then telemark. So when I met her, she was a ski instructor and then started to snowboard. And then I met her again in 10 years' time, and then she's got full certificate or all three.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Impressive.
And then now really, really, really pushing me to do telemark.
Yeah. Good answer. Good answer. So you don't choose either of the options I gave you. Fantastic. Well, I hope this episode has piqued listeners' interest in visiting Oze, but not just Oze. If they are headed to Nozawa, getting in contact with you about your tours there. So if anyone would like to do so and get more information or about your tours, your guiding, do you have a website, Instagram? How can they get in contact with you?
Yes, I have a website.
And what is your website address?
Also Facebook and Instagram. So could be, if you use a Facebook and Instagram, that might be easier to contact me.
Okay, yep. And your username on Facebook and Instagram, what is that?
Nozawa Onsen tours.
Easy as that. Thank you very much. And you make me feel like it's a stupid question. No worry. Taka, thank you for making time to speak with me today. I really enjoyed the chat, actually. And I say I'm yet to go to Oze, and it's on my list of national parks I'd like to get to. So I really appreciate you taking the time to introduce listeners to it. I really encourage everyone to look at it because Japan really does have a fantastic system of national parks that are quite easy to get to. And so obviously these areas are very famous for the snow of winter, skiing and snowboarding, which we've touched on today with Nozawa Onsen. But what that means is in green season, like now, it's a real time to get out there and explore the national parks, get out of the cities of Japan, which are hot and humid, and get into these beautiful landscapes. And it will be a better experience with a guide like you. So hopefully some people get in touch about your tours in Oze and also what you offer in Nozawa. So Taka, thank you very much. And
awesome.
I'm sure I'll run into you soon.
Awesome. Arigato. Thank you very much.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you to Taka for speaking with me. If you'd like to get in touch, you can do so via the Nozawa Onsen Tours website, Instagram or Facebook by searching Nozawa Onsen Tours. Very easy to find, just search Nozawa Onsen Tours. Links are in the show notes and on the episode page of the Snow Country Stories Japan website. As discussed, Taka doesn't cover just Oze and Nozawa, so don't hesitate to get in touch. Being accompanied by an experienced guide makes a huge difference when visiting the national parks. Should you be keen to head to Oze by yourself, that's certainly possible. How to get there depends on where you are starting, of course, and where in the park you want to go, but for most international visitors, Oze is most easily accessed from Tokyo and via the trailheads in the Gunma area of the park. There are two trailheads in Gunma. Those are the Hatomachi Toge and Oshimizu trailheads. These provide access to the most popular areas of the park, including its celebrated marshlands and ponds, while also opening up the option of leisurely hikes for a few hours to multi-day treks through the park. To get to those trailheads from Tokyo, you can take the Joetsu Shinkansen to Jomo Kogan Station, a journey of around 75 minutes, and then take a bus on to Tokura, another 2 hours. From there, you do need to take one more shuttle bus of around 25 minutes to the trailheads. So it's within fairly easy reach of Tokyo, but far enough to make it best enjoyed as at least an overnight stay, or better yet, a multi-day hike guided by Taka. Full details of how to get to Oze can be found on the official website of the national park. Check out the show notes or the episode page on the Snow Country Stories Japan website for links. That website is, of course, snowcountrystories.com. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. If you're enjoying the podcast, please make sure to follow us on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, whichever you use. I'm most active on Instagram and looking forward to posting more content as we head into summer. As always, a reminder to please make sure to subscribe to, rate and review the pod on whichever app you're listening. And it would be great if you could check your settings to make sure you're receiving automatic downloads of each episode. My name is Peter Carnell. This has been Snow Country Stories Japan. I'll be back with the next episode in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, bye for now.